phenomenal guest, someone who has helped thousands of job seekers land their dream roles, negotiate higher salaries, and secure promotions. She is an internationally recognized talent acquisition manager, interview coach, and a trainer with nearly 2 decades of experience in the world of recruitment. She is none other than our esteemed guest for today, Margaret Buj. Margaret has worked with global tech giants and fast growing startups, including Expedia, VMware, Typeform, Cisco, Kingbox, and Mixmax, recruiting top talent across EMEA and the USA. But what sets her apart is that she doesn't just help companies find great candidates. She also empowers job seekers with the strategies they need to stand out, get hired, and thrive in their careers. Her insights have been featured in Fox Business, Business Insider, and Financial Times, and many more. So, if you have ever struggled with job interviews, LinkedIn visibility, or salary negotiations, this is the session for you. Margaret, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. How are you?
I'm great, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. How's the weather in UK?
It's not great. Actually, it was really nice this morning, quite cold but sunny, and it just felt like spring is in the air. But literally 5 minutes before we started speaking, there was a torrential rain. Now it's stopped and it's lighter again, but in general, it's still pretty cold.
Oh, okay. That's should I
waiting
say
for
good?
the spring to arrive, but it's not too bad right now. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Oh, okay. Well, good for us. Good for the session. So, audience, as we start the session, I need your engagement into our session. Before we dive in, let's drop a comment below and let us know where you are watching us from. And are you currently job hunting? And if you're actively looking for a new job, what are the doubts and questions you have? Or are you here to level up your career skills? Or if you're here to learn strategies, just let us know in the comments. And the most important of them all, if you've got any questions you have you wanted to ask our special guest today, just let me know down below in the comments, and I'll make sure that I put them across to Margaret, and she would be happy to answer them all. So let's dive in, Margaret. And I would like to start this session with a short overview of your journey. Could you please let us know how your journey started and from where, and how you ended up helping job seekers?
Sure. So very briefly, I've been in the UK for over 20 years. And actually, before I moved into recruitment, I worked briefly for a book publishing company, a small startup doing sales, marketing, and a bit of PR. I didn't really want to be in a pure sales position because that's just wasn't something I was interested in at that time. And I started actually talking to people. I was trying to figure out where my skills would be a good fit. So I've done what I would really recommend people do when they try to find a new career, is to conduct some informational interviews with people in different jobs. So due to my informational interviews, I kind of decided recruitment might be a good option for me. Long story short, I had a couple of offers within the first month, and that's how I started working in recruitment. But in terms of coaching, that came probably about a year later or 2 years later, after I started working in recruitment. I was looking to do something that would utilize my skills, that would give me some extra income, but to be honest, I couldn't actually come up with anything until a friend of a friend wanted to talk to me because he got laid off, he got made redundant. He'd been looking for a job for 8 months at that time, and he just couldn't find anything. He was getting rejected. So that friend said to him, "Why don't you speak to Margaret? She works in recruitment. She might be able to help you." So I had a call with him, and he was quite shy, wasn't very good at selling himself. We had, let's say a coaching session, and he started getting second interviews with some good companies. We had another session, he got the job, and he's been getting every job since then. He was a contractor in IT. So I thought, well, there have to be other people who need similar help. And also as a recruiter, and I've probably had like a year and a half of recruitment experience, I knew very well that there are people who have fantastic resumes, really good experience, but they're actually not very good at selling themselves effectively. So that's how it started. I've done my research, I created my first website, and it started. I set that my interview coaching company in October 2006.
Awesome. That's inspiring journey. I think I need to take some notes because I want to follow on your footsteps. So
we can chat later.
Sure. I've been, to be very honest, I've been a recruiter for about 10 years. So I've been into the recruitment field, and I know all the inside and outside. Basically, to be very honest, I was a recruiter for tech companies, big companies like Google, Accenture, and other tech companies, software stuff.
Yeah, anyhow, same. It's always been in tech for me as well. I mean, you mentioned some of the companies I've recruited for before, but yes, I've always been an in-house recruiter, working for different tech companies, but like in different tech. So there's e-commerce and ad tech and martech and fintech and e-commerce and computer software and SaaS. I've worked for 3 SaaS companies as well, so it's always been in tech as well. But as an interview coach, I've worked with people from really all different industries, private sector and public sector, and even including people in the government or teachers. Even though my recruitment experience has always been in the private sector.
Awesome. That's an inspirational journey you've shared, and I'm so happy to know that. Okay, so we've got Uma Singh from Delhi. She's from India, Delhi, and she has joined us. The next person who has joined us is Maria from Madrid. She has a question. She says she wants tips to connect with UK headhunters and top 10 headhunters for marketing and comms and digital marketing. Margaret, do you want to? Yeah, please go.
Well, to be honest, I haven't actually worked with any UK agencies for quite a long time. So there was someone, you would honestly need to do your research because I am an internal recruiter. I do headhunting myself. So I typically don't use agencies. I think the last time I used an agency for marketing recruitment was in 2017 when I worked for Box, and we had a number of different positions, and I just needed some help because I had plenty of different positions open. So I think that was the last time I worked with an agency. There was a company called Marketing Moves that I think was good. I think that market might have changed in the last 8 years. So I would just look online. I would speak to people who work in marketing and ask them who they use. And I don't know what level you are at, because when you're talking about headhunters, you typically think of executive search firms like Spencer Stewart or Russell Reynolds, but that would be at the C level or at least, senior director or VP level. For any, a lot of companies will be doing marketing recruitment, but also marketing, as we all know, it's very wide. there could be different agencies specializing with brand marketing positions or specializing in SEO or CM or in general digital marketing. So I think it's more important to find the right consultants who will be able to work with you. So honestly, I would just, if you don't know any people working in marketing, I would just do some research. I would just do some research online. You can probably ask ChatGPT to come back, create a list for you of recruitment agencies specializing in marketing and find the list that way. But I think it's really important that you don't rely on agencies to find a job. And I guess today we'll talk of different ways of how you can make yourself stand out. But in general, it's important to remember the recruiter's job is not to find you a job. A recruiter's job, if you're talking of recruitment agencies, is to find the right candidate for the position that their client has available. So if you're the perfect fit for that position, great, they might be able to help you and they might be able to place you. But if not, that's, they will not really be able to help you. So by all means, contact some agencies and ask for recommendations, but really, I would not rely on that. I think it's still quite a small percentage of jobs that I feel through recruitment agencies. I would definitely focus more on networking and informational interviews and having a target list of companies. And I guess that's some of the things that we'll talk about today.
Awesome. I hope, Maria, you got your answer. And if you want a brief answer, schedule a call with Margaret. I'm going to give you the details after this session. So let's dive in straight into the session as we have got limited time. Just to let everyone know, Margaret has a very hectic schedule.
Today, yes. Yeah, this week is very busy.
So let's dive in straight into the session with question number 1 to Margaret. So Margaret, I want to ask you, in today's job market, recruiters are flooded with applications, with resumes. What are the top ways job seeker can stand out and get noticed? I heard that a resume, when it reaches the table, it only gets around 7 seconds to get.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. I'm not sure whether it's 7 seconds or 10 seconds or 6 seconds, but it's definitely, when you have a lot of applications to review, your resume will definitely get, just a several seconds overview. So it's a great question, because you are right. There are a lot of people looking for work, especially when you look at all the layoffs that happened in the tech industry in the last couple of years and even this year. There are definitely a lot of people looking for work, and standing out requires strategy, customization, and visibility as well. And many job seekers think that applying to more jobs increases their chances, but in reality, a targeted approach is much more effective. So step number 1, create a tailored resume, CV, and a LinkedIn profile that speaks to the job that you are interested in. So what most job seekers do wrong is that they use the same generic resume, or I'm saying resume or a CV. We say CV in Europe, but resume in the US. But I'm using, it's the same thing. So the mistakes that the job seekers make. So firstly, they use the same generic resume for every application. And ideally, you want to have tailor your resume summary section at least. You certainly don't need to have a different resume for different jobs that you're applying for. In fact, I would not recommend that. Keep it simple, but at the same time, you do want to make some small tweaks in the CV summary section or the skills section, just to emphasize that you have the skills that the employer is looking for. Another mistake is that job seekers list responsibilities instead of achievements. So, as an example, people will say manage social media accounts instead of saying increase social engagement by 50% in 6 months. And also very often their LinkedIn profiles lack keywords, which means that you will be invisible to recruiters searching for talent. So how do you stand out? I mean, firstly, mirror the job description to an extent. So identify keywords and must-have skills from the job posting and weave them naturally into your resume and LinkedIn. Now, of course, you will not be tailoring your LinkedIn profile to every job, but I'm assuming that you are looking for a similar type of a position. So you can probably even use ChatGPT for that, just copy and paste 10 different job descriptions and say, here is my resume. These are the jobs I'm interested in. What keywords I'm missing from my resume. So, for example, if a company emphasizes cross-functional collaboration or process optimization or any specific technical skills, use those exact phrases in your experience section. It's also very important that you quantify your impact both on your resume and on your LinkedIn, and then in interviews as well. So, for example, instead of saying I manage a team of analysts, say that you led a team of 5 analysts, improving operational efficiency by 30% through process automation. And also, and I think we'll talk about LinkedIn later, but you also want to use a benefit-driven LinkedIn headline. So, for example, instead of just listing your title, for example, instead of just saying that you're a marketing specialist, you can say growth marketing, paid ads and SEO, driving customer engagement and revenue, because these kind of keywords help recruiters find you in searches if this is your area of expertise. Another very important tip, tip number 2, would be to really go beyond online applications and leverage direct outreach. So where a lot of job seekers go wrong is that they apply and wait, assuming that the hiring managers will see the resume. They also don't follow up after submitting applications. And also a lot of people just rely on those online applications without doing anything else, So how do you stand out? I mean, firstly, you want to send you might want to try, and it's not always going to be possible, but you might want to try to send a direct message on LinkedIn to hiring managers or recruiters. So say you've applied for the position. If you have a name of the person who posted the position, you can mention them and just say, I recently applied for such and such role in your company. I admire, and mention something specific about the company or the product. And I would love to connect to learn more about what you're looking for in this role. You also might want to engage on LinkedIn before applying and before contacting someone. So you might want to comment on company posts, on specific hiring managers updates or industry discussions, because these can also get your name in front of decision makers. In fact, I worked with someone recently, and she started just being a little bit more active on LinkedIn and commenting. And she commented on a post of someone who interviewed her months ago. And they got into a discussion, and long story short, she got an interview from just commenting on LinkedIn. This person actually left this company, but she recommended her to the person who replaced her. And also, you want to be active on LinkedIn, and you want to also have a list of target companies. So don't just rely on online applications. Have a list of target organizations that interest you, and then try to connect with people working in those organizations. Also, you might also want to showcase some thought leadership and content on LinkedIn. So not everyone has to do it. Like if you have no interest in building your personal brand, you don't necessarily need to post as well. But your LinkedIn profile isn't just for job applications. It's also really great for building visibility. So think of even just posting once a week, maybe sharing insights about your industry or career lessons or projects that you worked on. Recruiters also often check the activity section in your LinkedIn profile. So if they see you engaging with relevant content, it does signal industry involvement. So you might want to just comment on the recruiter's hiring post. You can just think of who are the thought leaders in your industry and potentially get involved in some comments, because I read recently, and that's stats from LinkedIn apparently, that people who are active on LinkedIn are four times more likely to kind of get noticed on the platform. And also you want to definitely follow up after applying or interviewing. A lot of job seekers, they don't follow up after applying, just assuming that silence means rejection. They also don't send a thank you note after interviews. So try to follow up maybe within a week after applying. Just mention the name of the recruiter or the hiring manager. Mention that you've recently applied for a job title and that you wanted to follow up, and given your experience and mention the specific skills that are listed on the job description. You would love the opportunity to discuss how you can contribute to their team. Now, you will not always be able to do that, because sometimes you will not have the name of the hiring manager or the recruiter, but if you can do that, do that. And also send a personalized thank you after the interview. There's probably 80% of people don't follow up, and that's an easy way to leave a lasting impression. And just really the last tip here is to try to get some referrals, and that's why it's so important that you have a list of target companies that interest you, so you can hopefully try to make some connections within those organizations. So a lot of people apply without leveraging connections, and even the weak ties can actually help, And another mistake that job seekers make is that they assume referrals are only for close connections. That's not necessarily the case. Okay, well, you wouldn't ask a complete stranger for a referral, but you might want to be able, you might be able to make some connections within the companies that interest you. So you can ask, maybe not necessarily for a referral, but you can ask for some insider information. So let's say that you saw a company is looking for someone with your skill set. You can potentially message someone who is maybe likely to work in a team, or at least in the same function. And you can, and let's say you connected to them. You can just say, we've been connected on LinkedIn for a while. Currently looking for work. I've noticed that your company is hiring for, say, a marketing manager. I'd love to apply. Like, would you be open to sharing some insights about the team, or at least letting me know who I should contact. You also might want to be able to find some alumni from your university on LinkedIn. Alumni are much more likely to help. So you can use the LinkedIn alumni tool to find connections at your target company. So a real life example is a software engineer I've worked with reached out to a college alumni, like alum working at Google, and that person referred them, and instead of competing with thousands of applications, they actually got an interview within a week. Is it always going to happen that way? No, but you won't know until you've tried. So just, in terms of like final summary of what I've just mentioned. So optimize your resume with keywords and results, and do the same with your LinkedIn profile. Engage with hiring managers and recruiters before applying, ideally, or at least follow up after application. Try to follow up on applications and interviews to stay on the radar. Post and comment on LinkedIn to increase visibility, but you don't want to spend too much time doing that, because if you're looking for work right now, I wouldn't want you to be spending 5 hours per day on LinkedIn, posting and commenting. That's not the case, but spend 15 minutes per day. It can help with your visibility. And last but not least, probably the most important one, leverage referrals and direct outreach to cut through the competition. A job search is definitely not just about applying. It's about being seen, engaged, and proactive. So candidates who follow these steps don't just stand out, they actually get hired faster.
Awesome. That's an insightful answer, and a very good advice for people who are looking for jobs. Job seekers will definitely benefit from your advice. And speaking of LinkedIn, if some people who are my audience right now, and people who would be watching after this session, the recording, people, if you are looking for any help regarding your LinkedIn profile, then I'm always available for you. I would be happy to help you use LinkedIn, optimize your profile, whether you're a job seeker or a business owner. I know all the secrets of LinkedIn. Anyhow, I'm just telling that. And there will be a special discount for people who are watching me live. So make sure you use this opportunity. Anyhow, so just out of curiosity, Margaret, I wanted to ask you, do we have to tailor our resumes each time we apply for a job?
Great question. Yeah, great question. I actually don't think you always have to do that. If you are the perfect fit for the position, you have the exact same job title, you've worked for similar companies. No, I would say you don't always have to do that. But not everyone is in that situation. Sometimes you apply for a role in a slightly different industry, or maybe you apply for a job in an industry where you worked 5 years ago, but not recently. Or your last job title was actually slightly different. Like, you have very relevant experience, but when you look at your profile, that might not be immediately visible to the recruiter. So I don't think you always have to do that. As I said, if it looks like a perfect fit, go and apply anyway. Like, let's say you're an account manager in SaaS and you apply for another role as an account manager or senior account manager in SaaS. No, I would say don't bother. Like, you don't need to do that. But on many occasions, it actually does help, and it doesn't have to take a long time. You can just literally copy your resume, copy the job description in ChatGPT, and say, how would you tailor my resume to that specific position? So in 2 minutes, you have an answer. In seconds, you will have an answer. Make some small tweaks, and you can potentially use that. So it doesn't have to take long.
And if anybody is, I would say just go for it. Just apply for the job. And if you need any help with your interview training or coaching, Margaret would be happy to help you with that as well. She
Of
is
course, yeah.
an awesome interview coach. So get in touch with her directly through LinkedIn or Margaret. Are you comfortable giving out your uh, work email? I could put that in the
Yeah, I
comments.
mean, I'll give you actually another the Margaret that interview. It's actually a different one than the one I gave you because the one I gave you was from a recruitment calendar. So I'll give it to you later. Yeah, I'll give it to you after the call.
Sure. And I'm going to put that in the comments for people to
Yeah,
directly speak directly to Margaret.
yeah.
Okay. Out of curiosity,
I'll put it
what?
here actually in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. One small question out of curiosity. I just wanted to ask you. Uh, I just wanted to ask you. Um, I know we are running out of time, but this is an important one. Do you think lying on your resume, I mean, say, uh, being dishonest on our resumes, is that going to hamper our credibility,
Of
or
course.
is it okay?
I would never lie on a resume. It's very easy to check. I think a lot of people might embellish a little bit, and that I suppose, well, if you can get away with that, fine. But in general, I would never lie on a resume, like especially things like where you worked and how long you worked there for, because that's very easy to check. A lot of companies do background checks. A lot of companies also do like backdoor references on you. So I would never lie about things like that. And also if you are, a lot of people may be like, I suppose just embellish what they've done. Like maybe they didn't have, maybe like, they say they've done something, but actually they were just a small part of that. To be
Mhm.
honest, in a good interview, it probably will be found out, because I've seen so many situations like that when someone, looking at the resume, they look great, they look really senior, but then you do an interview with them, and not even my interview, like more of a technical interview, let's say, and they just can't even answer some of these questions. I'm not saying they lied on the resume, but maybe they just overstated the level of expertise. So no, I would definitely not recommend lying on a resume.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. I got my answer. So let's move on with the session. Margaret, I have a question from Uma. Do you want to take it at the end of the session,
I think
or
maybe yes, because I think we have quite a lot of things to get through. We just have half an hour left. I can stay for a few more minutes, but maybe just let's go through a few questions and open the room for questions in 20 minutes or so.
sure, sure. So the next question would be, how important is networking in job search process, and what are some effective networking strategies that actually work?
Sure. So networking is very, very important. I know we still have a few questions. I'll try to be concise because we still have a lot to get through. So networking is not just important, it's really essential. And even like not all of the roles will be posted publicly. Yet a lot of job seekers either avoid it completely, or they just reach out when they need a job, which make the interactions feel transactional. And the key to effective networking is really building relationships before you need them and using strategic engagement to make genuine connections. So, how do you do that? Firstly, you want to start with your existing network because the weak ties sometimes can matter the most. Networking doesn't just mean reaching out to strangers. Often the existing connections are the best leads. But another mistake that job seekers make is that they only reach out to people. That they only reach out to people they know well. Whereas on the other hand, like, weak ties, which is like acquaintances or former colleagues, are actually more likely to lead to job opportunities. So how do you do that? Firstly, like you might want to re-engage with former colleagues, classmates, and even acquaintances that you met at an event or something, So you can just send something like, hi, whatever the name is, it's been a while. I saw you are now at X company. I'd love to hear about your experience there, and I'd love to catch up over a quick call sometimes. So you re-establish a relationship before making an ask. As I mentioned earlier, you can also use the LinkedIn alumni tool who went to your university and who work at companies that are of interest to you. So you can message them on LinkedIn and say, hi, I saw that you both graduated from, you mentioned which university, and yes, I'd love to learn more about your role at, whichever company you're interested in, and any advice you have for someone looking to break into the industry. Would you be open to chatting to me for 15 minutes? So you also want to engage on LinkedIn, as I was saying earlier. Like as a job seeker, you definitely don't only want to apply for jobs and assume that the recruiters will find you. And you also want to be like engaging with some industry content or hiring managers, because that can help with visibility. So as an example, like how can you start with how can you stand out through LinkedIn engagement? Like, let's say the recruiter posts, we are hiring for a specific role in a company. Instead of just liking it or saying interested, which I've seen a lot of people do, just say something like, this sounds like an exciting opportunity. What skills are you prioritizing for this role? Or this sounds like an exciting opportunity. I have, 10 years of experience in XYZ and I would love to chat, so it's just a little bit more engaging. You also might want to post, as I mentioned, when you post on LinkedIn, that increases your visibility to recruiters as well. In fact, I know of a data analyst who started posting just some case studies on data trends, and within a month, actually, the hiring manager reached out to him directly with a job opportunity. So use informational interviews. That's really like the non-transactional way to network. So what a lot of job seekers do wrong is that they send messages asking for jobs instead of building a relationship. So they make this vague request like, oh, can you help me get a job at your company? Instead of actually showing some genuine curiosity. So to request an informational interview with someone in a company that interests you, start by expressing interest, not asking for a job. So mention something specific that you liked about the profile, and then you can mention that you're exploring opportunities in a specific industry, and that you would love to hear about their experience and would they be open to a 15-minute chat. So this makes the conversation about them, not just you needing a job. And also ask some smart questions that lead to job opportunities. So instead of asking, are you hiring? You could say, what advice would you give to someone looking to break into your field? Or what are the biggest challenges that your team is facing right now? Because that naturally opens the door for them to mention job openings or introduce you to someone. And also you want to follow up, and just stay on people's radar. So that means sending a thank you message to people who have done this informational interview with you. You can just say something like, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. I really appreciated your insights on, mention the industry or the company. And you can say, I will keep you updated on my job search and would love to stay in contact. And stay in contact even if there's no immediate opportunity. So if someone gives you advice, update them on how you've applied it. People like that, they feel like the time has not been wasted. So you can just say, hi, Mark, I took your advice and applied to, whichever company. Thanks again for your insights. They were really helpful. So that's how we keep the relationship going. And also don't just rely on networking online. I mean, networking online is great, but there will be industry events or meetups or webinars. That's obviously online, but yeah, see if there are any specific virtual or in-person networking events in your industry, so you can talk to more people. You also might want to join Slack or Discord groups in your industry, because many industries have private online communities where job opportunities are also shared before they go, before they go public. So in general, just to close, networking is not just about getting the job. It's about building long-term relationships that open doors over time, and the more genuine, consistent and engaged you are, the more opportunities will come your way.
Awesome. Thank you for that insightful answer, Margaret. So, as a wise man once said, your network is your net worth. So,
Definitely.
Exactly. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us an insightful answer for that question. So, moving on to the next question quickly. Uh, I would want to ask, many professionals struggle with LinkedIn visibility. What are the key things job seekers should be doing on LinkedIn to attract recruiters and hiring managers? And I also want to ask, is it okay or is it not okay to put the open to work green banner
Great
on?
question. Great question. Okay, let me answer everything. So, yeah, now LinkedIn is one of my favorite topics as well. I'm actually doing a free webinar tomorrow on this topic as well. But most job seekers treat LinkedIn as an online resume, but it's actually a really powerful networking and personal branding tool. So, to attract recruiters and hiring managers, you need to optimize your profile for search, showcase your skills effectively, and also effectively engage with the platform, which we've discussed that too a little bit already earlier on today. So firstly, optimize your headline to show your value. So your headline is one of the most important parts of your profile. It's what recruiters see first when looking for candidates. So don't have this like a boring or vague headline like software engineer or marketing professional, because that doesn't make you stand out. So instead of your job titles, you also want to include some key skills. You want to highlight your value proposition, and you also want to use industry relevant keywords so that recruiters can find you. As an example, for a data analyst, instead of just saying data analyst, you can say data analyst, SQL, Python, and Power BI, turning complex data into business insights, or for, let's say, a software engineer, instead of just saying software engineer as your title, you can say full stack software engineer, then mention your tech stack like React, Node.js, and AWS, and then passionate about scalable solutions. Or for marketing professional, you can say growth marketing and SEO specialist, helping brands drive engagement and conversion. So yes, so that's what I'll do as the headline, headline to start with. And actually, talking about open to work, so a lot of people they put on in their headline actively seeking opportunities. Don't do that, because that's not, like, no one actually really cares that you're seeking for opportunities. Like, recruiters care what you can bring to a specific job. So instead of saying that you are actively seeking opportunities, I would actually make sure that your profile is open to work to recruiters. If you are currently, I don't think it sounds desperate that you are open to work. In fact, as a recruiter, when I search for candidates in LinkedIn Recruiter, always in the first instance, I will look at people who are open to work, because it's more likely they will come back to me. So, having said that, unless you're like desperately trying to find a job in the next week, it's enough to be open to recruiters only, because typically it's the recruiters who will be able to see you. Most recruiters use LinkedIn Recruiter, which is this, we have access to everyone on LinkedIn, which is over 1 billion people. So it's enough to be open to recruiters. But if you want to be open to the public, I think that's absolutely fine. I don't find it's a negative. I know there will be some people who think it looks desperate. Personally, I disagree. When you look at just in general all the layoffs that happen, there are a lot of people looking for work. So, but my personal opinion is enough to be open to recruiters. So going back to LinkedIn. So first, start with your headline, optimize your headline. You also want to write a strong about me section that tells a story. So most people underutilize this section by either leaving it blank, or they just list some generic skills. But that's actually your chance to sell yourself in a way that's engaging and memorable. So you might want to start with like, what's a summary of your experience? So, maybe marketing manager with 10 years of experience in this, and that. So start with a strong hook. What sets you apart? You want to highlight your key skills and experience. Like, what is it that you do best? Definitely mention some results. You want to showcase your impact and achievements, and also include a call to action. How can people reach you? You then want to optimize your work experience section, and very important that you focus on results, not just responsibilities. Most job seekers just focus on just list the job responsibilities, but recruiters want to see impact and achievements. So, a strong work experience section should include job titles that match industry standards, Use bullet points versus paragraphs for easy readability, and definitely highlight some quantifiable achievements. So as an example, let's say you're a marketing manager. Don't just say that you manage social media campaigns, you led SEO initiatives, and that you created content for website and email marketing. You want to have section, you want to have a description that's impact driven, so for example, develop the content strategy that increased website traffic by 150% in 6 months, or led a paid ad campaign that resulted in 35% increase in lead generation. Just things like that, or like, let's say you're a software engineer. Don't just say that you built and maintained company website, or you worked on bug fixes and new features, and you assisted in backend development. Mention something specific, so maybe you optimize database queries, reducing load times by 30% and improving performance, or maybe you led the migration from legacy code to modern architecture, enhancing system scalability. So always focus on the result. It doesn't always have to be a number, because I know it's not possible to quantify everything, but ideally you want to have some metrics. Another important point, use skills and keywords to appear in recruiter searches. Recruiters search for candidates by skills and job titles. So if you don't list them, you will not appear in searches. So make sure that your top skills are listed in the skills section. LinkedIn allows you to have 100 skills right now. You also want to use some relevant job titles, even if your past title was slightly different. Like, for example, if you were, say, a client success advocate, but but everyone else calls these people customer success manager, you might want to list it as the customer success advocate, and maybe like in brackets customer success manager, so that you come up in those search results. And also you want to stay active and engage with recruiters. Like, even with a great profile, you won't get noticed if you're never active on LinkedIn. So as I was already saying earlier, comment on some posts from industry leaders or hiring managers. You can ask insightful questions. Maybe post once a week to stay visible. You can share industry trends, career insights or achievements, and definitely use LinkedIn to connect with hiring managers, with recruiters, and to conduct informational interviews. So just by optimizing your profile and staying active, you will definitely attract more recruiters and open doors to new opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you for that insightful answer, Margaret. So I am stunned. You are not only a career coach, but you are an expert LinkedIn trainer as well.
Yeah, I do LinkedIn trainings as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know. If you're ever hiring someone in your team,
Probably
related
not.
to I'll be sending my name to you, or for sure. Okay, just out of curiosity again, what do you have to say? Are you a supporter of controversial question but important? Are you a supporter of paid interviews? I'm just
paid interviews. I've never seen a paid interview. So, so I haven't actually heard of paid interviews. I think you're referring to something when a company asks you to prepare like a project or something for the interview. Is that what you're referring to?
No, I'm referring to I heard of this initiative where the candidate, when he takes the time to appear for the interview, whether or not he get hired, but when he is on the interview, if he gets paid, that would be great, because the candidate already is facing so much of heat, losing the job, and his bills piles up. So what do you think about these paid interviews? If paid interview starts, what I think is, not only it is going to benefit the candidate, but also the interviewer.
How will it benefit the interviewer, to be honest? I'm not sure if I would see that working. Maybe that's a topic for another discussion. Like, if a company is asking you to spend like a few days preparing something, yeah, I actually think you should be compensated for your time. But the companies I've recruited for over the last 20 years almost, yeah, we would have a task representation, but it would never take that much time. So as an example, I'm hiring engineers right now, and the only take-home task is a coding task that takes 1 or 2 hours to complete. I'm sorry, but I don't think someone should be paid for doing that. That's just part of the process. Like I've always had to do something, or there might be a little presentation at the end that will take a few hours. And that's people want to see how you kind of think and how you just how you would actually behave on the job. So I don't think candidates should be paid for. I've never got paid for that myself, but I think it depends on the scope of the task. If they actually expect you to prepare something that honestly takes like a week, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I'm not sure how that would work in practice, but I don't think it's a bad idea at all. If it's something that's super time consuming, definitely.
Okay. While we are running tight on time,
Okay.
we can only go 1 or 2 questions
Sure,
from
sure,
our
sure, sure.
session.
Yeah.
Let me ask. This is a hot question which I wanted to ask for a long time, and also it's about the artificial intelligence. With companies using AI-powered hiring tools, how can job seekers optimize their resumes and online profiles to pass ATS screening? And what exactly is ATS doing? Putting all those resumes, dumping all
Yeah.
those resumes.
I think honestly, I think there are so many misconceptions about ATS, because a lot of people think, oh, ATS will just reject me automatically. And honestly, that might happen depending on the settings that you have. But in every single company I've recruited for in the last 20 years, we looked at every resume manually, one by one. So ATS is just something, it's like a CRM, it's a database, that enables you to move candidates between stages in an easy way. But just in general, in terms of optimizing your resume, it's very simple. So use keywords from the job description. You can copy job description into ChatGPT or Word cloud generator to identify frequent keywords and then use them naturally in your resume. You don't want to just stuff your resume with keywords. Also, use standard formatting. So ATS really prefers a clean structured text. So avoid tables, avoid graphics and any kind of fancy fonts. Use also full job titles and skills. So instead of customer success guru, use customer success manager, let's say, to match recruiter searchers. So just customize resumes with role specific keywords and clean formatting, and you should be fine.
Awesome. Short and concise answer. I just want to let my audience know we're just running out of time, but I promise.
I can stay for a few more minutes actually after. I can stay for a few extra minutes.
Sure. Then that's all good. I'm going to quickly get on to the other question, which is, what are the biggest mistakes candidates make during interviews and how can they avoid them?
Absolutely. So I think mistake number one, I would say lack of preparation. Just really coming to interview completely unprepared, and that's like the legit candidates who like probably haven't even read the job description thoroughly, which leads to misalignment in expectations. So I mean, how to avoid it? You want to just do some thorough research before the interview. You want to learn about the company and the mission and culture and any recent news. Or developments, and then obviously you want to prepare some relevant examples from past experiences that demonstrate that you have the skills that the company is looking for. Another big mistake is giving generic or rehearsed responses. So you don't want to be providing very generic or like canned answers that really fails to showcase your unique skills and experiences, because employers want to hear specific examples that illustrate how you can contribute to their organizations, not some vague statements. So I think most people are aware of the STAR format of answering competency-based questions: situation, task, action, results. So that structure ensures that the candidate provides real, just detailed, specific answers that demonstrate how they apply their skills in real world scenarios. So, for example, instead of saying that you're a team player, a more compelling response would be, in my previous role, I've worked on a cross-functional team to launch a new software product. I led the project management side, coordinating between developers and marketing, and we successfully launched 2 weeks ahead of schedule, increasing customer engagement by 15%. So that would be always back up your answers with examples. Another mistake would be failing to ask any questions. So candidates also often think that the interview is one-sided, it's just like, interrogation, and they forget to ask insightful questions themselves. And that can give impression that they're actually not very interested in the company, or they haven't thought deeply about the role. So always prepare some insightful questions that you show that you thought how you would fit into the company. So you can ask about the company's long-term strategy, or what would you expect me to achieve in the first 6 months, or what are the biggest challenges that the team is currently facing and how I can contribute to overcoming them. So definitely prepare some questions. Also, talking too much or too little, it's bad. Like you want to give like maybe 2-3 minutes per answer for the competency-based questions, but some candidates make the mistake of oversharing, like giving very long-winded answer that go off topic. Like you really should not spend 10-15 minutes answering one question. But then others make a mistake of providing just very brief responses that lack any kind of detail. So the interviewer can't actually really understand your experience. So you want to find the right balance there, like aim to answer each question concisely, staying on point while providing enough detail to fully explain your response. And also not following up. That's another mistake. So many candidates forget to send a thank you note or a follow-up after the interview, which can be a missed opportunity to reinforce their interest in the role. So I would say always send a personalized follow-up email within 24 hours of the interview. Thank the interviewer for the time, reiterate your enthusiasm for the role, and briefly maybe mention the key points from the interview that highlight that you are a strong fit for the position. And definitely practice ahead of time, I would say, just in general, prepare for interviews. The competency-based interview questions, you have to prepare for them in advance, as you know. It's not something you can do an hour before the interview, ideally, or during the interview. So practice ahead of time, and also be authentic. Instead of trying to give a perfect answer, try to focus on being genuine. Employers value candidates who are authentic and transparent about their strengths and areas of growth, and also maintain confidence, because candidates should believe in their abilities and communicate with confidence, but without arrogance. Being self-assured helps candidates to present themselves in the best possible light.
Awesome. Thank you for that insightful answer, Margaret. Oh, we've got more. I've got 4 more questions, but I'll take the important ones now.
Yeah.
I would want to ask you a question on salary
Sure.
transparency. So salary transparency laws are changing how companies disclose pay ranges. But how can job seekers use this to their advantage in negotiations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's definitely a hot topic right now, and salary transparency laws are shifting power towards job seekers by requiring employees to disclose those pay ranges. So that gives the candidates leverage to negotiate more effectively and ensure that they are paid fairly. So how do you use it to your advantage? So firstly, research salary data before the interview. So you can use LinkedIn Salary Insights, Glassdoor for tech roles. You can use levels.fyi. And any kind of industry reports, or sometimes recruitment agencies will also publish salary surveys. So you can try to Google salary surveys for your job and for your area to determine the standard range for your role, location, and experience level. You also want to anchor your salary expectations based on the upper range. So since the company has already disclosed the budget, well, it depends on your level of experience, but ideally you want to position your ask closer to the top of the range, depending on your experience, So for example, I see that the range for this role is 85 to 100. Given my experience and the impact I can bring, I'll be comfortable at 100. Is there flexibility at the top of the range if you're already earning, more than that? And also, if you have multiple offers, you can leverage them to negotiate a better deal. So you can say, I have another offer at, say, 95,000, but I'm really excited about this role. If we could align closer to that range, I'll be eager to move forward. So I think these salary transparency laws also allow you to ask more confidently about the total compensation, including, bonuses and stock options and benefits as well. But just in general, I think a lot of people are very hesitant to negotiate a salary. As you know, so because they don't want to maybe feel pushy, but you just have to remember that the negotiation is expected. Employers very rarely offer the highest number up front. Sometimes they do that, when I speak to a candidate and they tell me, and I already tell them that the salary is on the top of our range. That's different. If that's been agreed in advance, when I tell someone this is our maximum salary, they might not be able to offer anymore. But in many cases, negotiation actually is expected, So just in terms of if you're hesitant, reframe negotiation as a business discussion, not a personal request, So instead of thinking, I don't want to be seen demanding, you might want to shift your mindset to, this is a business conversation about fair compensation, So once you've done this research I was just talking about, you can say something like, based on industry data and my experience level, I believe a salary of, you mentioned amount, you can mention the range, is competitive for this role. Can we discuss aligning on this feature? And even practice that salary conversation before the interview, even with a friend or a coach, So you can say, I'm excited about this opportunity, and given my skills in the market rate for this role, I'd like to discuss a salary of around, whatever the research that is. And also remember to focus on value, not just on the number. So instead of just saying, I want 10,000 more, you can explain why based on your skills and contributions. So you can say, in my previous role, I increased efficiency by 30%, leading to cost savings of 200,000. Based on this impact, I believe a salary, and then you mentioned the amount, is aligned with my value. So many companies expect you to negotiate. So the worst it can happen that they will say no, but often they will offer more than the initial number.
Awesome. And also it is important for companies or hiring managers to mention the pay range
Yes.
in their descriptions. So most of the time what they do is they does not mention the pay range and try to negotiate with the job seeker, even try to lowball the job seeker or the candidate. We have to be smart there.
That will happen. You know what? I have to say, most companies I've recruited for, we really did not try to lowball anyone. We would try to pay someone something that's fair based on their experience and, and what the rest of the team is earning and the budget for the position. I honestly can't think of one hiring manager that he was like, oh yeah, let's just pay them as little as we can. That's not the case, because you also don't want someone to leave as soon as, they find something better. So exactly. I'm sure that happens, but I have to say that's not the philosophy of most companies I've worked for. You want to get a good price for sure, but you also want to pay someone fairly.
Exactly. An audience, if you need help with any negotiations, get in touch with Margaret. She would be happy to help you out. And very quickly, I'll just go to the next question, which is question 8, which is many professionals feel hesitant to negotiate.
I've kind of just talked about that, to be honest, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've covered that.
Yeah, you have covered in the last question. So we can go with layoffs. With layoffs and hiring freezes in some industries, where do you see the biggest job opportunities right now?
Yeah, so at first I had to actually do some research on that, because I'm recruiting just for one company. I'm not an agency recruiting for different industries. But definitely I can see that some industries are slowing down and others are thriving. So I think the fastest maybe growing job opportunities, I mean, definitely like AI and machine learning. I think even like my current company I'm recruiting for Mixmax, we have a lot of AI work, and whenever we hire engineers, if they have some AI experience, that's a really nice to have, so roles like, well, prompt engineer or AI engineer or data scientist. So a lot of companies will hire these people, tech startups, financial firms, and healthcare. I think cybersecurity is growing as well, because rising digital threats mean that security experts are in high demand. And fintech and digital payments, I have some friends who work in that area, and fintech sector is evolving rapidly with AI powered solutions. And other industries that I've read about, I don't recruit in them, so I don't know really much about them, but like there are roles within healthcare and biotech, because the rise of AI in medicine is driving innovation. Industries such as clean energy and sustainability, because government policies and consumer demand are fueling growth. So those industries I think are definitely growing. I think the job market definitely keeps evolving, right? So like we always need to like learn and upskill, and I think definitely in the area of AI and maybe like automation, I don't think AI is just for tech roles. I think it's important to understand like how AI tools impact your industry. I mean, as an example, if you're a marketing professional, you should learn AI driven content creation tools. So we always need to like keep learning to stay competitive.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that insightful answer. Let me take this question quickly from the audience.
Sure.
Uma is asking, I have 4 years of experience as growth manager and operation managers. Those are two different titles, Uma. Now I want to switch my career in IT field as program manager and project for any role. Also want to start my career outside India. Please help with which set of skills required and how I can start ASAP facing issue in a resume selecting.
Well, that question is very difficult to answer without seeing what you've actually done and how relevant your experience is to the positions that you are interested in. So I don't know exactly what you mean as a growth manager. Do you mean like a growth marketing manager? Because growth marketing manager and operation manager, that's kind of a completely different role. So I'm a little bit confused which ones you've done and how much. So I would actually look at, what I was saying earlier, about switching your career as a program manager or project manager. I mean, firstly, it's very difficult to make both a job switch and a career switch at the same time. And also, if you want to do it outside of India, forget it. It's just not going to happen right now. Like, no one will hire someone who doesn't have like specific experience. So I think it would be easier to either try to get a similar job in a different industry first, and then try to move into a role that interests you. So like say getting a similar job in an IT field first, or potentially so like either getting the same job in a different industry, or maybe in the same industry but try to get a different role. But honestly, I it's very difficult without seeing your resume. So I would try to identify, in terms of the skills that are needed, find 10 job descriptions of the positions that interest you. Literally go to ChatGPT and say, here is my current resume. These are the skills I have. I'm interested in working, as a program manager. These are the jobs that interest me. Like, can you please tell me what are the skills that I'm missing right now? And just literally, like, you can actually ask ChatGPT what skills you're missing, what would be the best way to gain these skill sets. So I can't tell you what set of skills is required because I haven't seen the job descriptions. How you can start ASAP? Well, the quicker you start doing that research, the better. And I would try to speak to some people doing the jobs that you are interested in. So try to conduct some informational interviews. Try to contact people who work as a program manager, and you can just literally message them on LinkedIn and tell them why you're contacting them specifically. Mention that you're really interested in moving into that field. Tell them why. And would they be willing to talk to you for 10, 15 minutes, And these will be the people who can tell you what skills you are missing. not really myself. But in terms of starting career outside of India, honestly, I don't know. Like in terms of like, say, working in Europe, in most cases, well, I've only seen companies sponsoring people for roles that are like really hard to fill, typically technical positions. So I don't think it's easy to find a job like in a different country where you do need a visa sponsorship. But I don't know about every country. I just think it would be pretty impossible in Europe right now, because you typically either need to know the language of the specific country, or you need to be an expert in a specific area. But I'm not an expert in every single country that you might be looking at. So, but yeah, in your case, I would try to identify the job descriptions, find out, from ChatGPT what skills you are missing, try to identify people working for the companies that interest you, or at least doing the jobs that interest you, contact them on LinkedIn, try to conduct 5-10 informational interviews, and you will have much more clarity about where you need to go and what advice they would have for you. And I will prepare some good questions as well in terms of like, what skills you need to gain, what's the best way to gain them, like do you need to get any specific education. So all of that will happen through that research and talking to people as well.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that question. Just to add, Oma, just to give you an insight, what is happening outside India right now is a scary situation for job seekers. So try to get a job in India. It's your best option. It is your best bet to get a job in India. So, and you can always reach out to Margaret directly. She is available, and I've put her.
Yeah, you can reach out to me there on LinkedIn. I can't actually accept any more connection requests on LinkedIn because I've reached the maximum of 30,000, but you can follow me, you can message me on LinkedIn or on this email, and I'll be happy to respond.
Awesome. So with that, I think we...
Any more questions? Are there any more questions?
There is one question where Uma has asked, how can we get an update about industry events? So
I'm not sure what you mean about an update. Like, I mean, even LinkedIn, right? A lot of these events will be, I don't know which specific event you mean, but what events interest you, right? Because typically you can sign up to a newsletter of a specific company and they will let you know about the event. So I'm subscribed to different newsletters on, events that interest you. So you just need to find out like what are the organizations that organize events. You can potentially look at something like Eventbrite. I don't know if that's popular in India, but you can definitely look at either like event organizing companies and get on their mailing list, or just try to Google events that interest you. But yeah, you should be able to sign up. Should be able to sign up with some kind of newsletter to get informed of what these events are, and look at different groups on LinkedIn as well. A lot of these events will be advertised on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Margaret. And just to add one more thing, be careful with there are many people, they say they are experts, career coaches, and mostly from Nigeria. You get people from Nigeria and they say they are the experts. Just be careful about that. Margaret is the person who you need to reach out to. So thank you so much, Margaret. Wow, what a fantastic session. Your insights have been incredibly valuable, and I know our audience has gained so much from your expertise. For those of you who want to take your job search and interview skills to the next level, Margaret offers career coaching, interview training, and job search strategies that have helped thousands of professionals worldwide. Make sure to check out her website and services and follow her on LinkedIn for more career insights. And before
I actually share some advice 5 times a week, Monday to Friday. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, definitely.
Awesome. And before we wrap up, I want to remind you all, my mission is to bring you the best experts from around the world to help you navigate your career journey with confidence. If you found this session valuable, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs it, and follow me for more expert insights. Margaret, thank you once again for joining us today. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and go after the career you deserve.